Bob, thanks very much. As game 2 between the Sacramento Kings and the Utah Jazz. Sacramento winning game 1 in a close one, and here in game 2, you've missed a lot of physical play, but you haven't missed a lot of points. It's only 11-5 as Divac gets inside and has a chance for a three-point play. But the shooting has been rough, along with Mike Fratello and Jeff Van Gundy, Mike Breen on hand. It has been a rough offensive start, Mike.
Yeah, it seems like they have gone, we're talking about Sacramento, down inside, putting the ball's hands in Vlade Divac, making him the guy to draw double teams, and hopefully they'll space out and get perimeter results after they come back on Divac.
Divac, who had a non-aggressive offensive first game, said he was going to be much more aggressive. Ball knocked loose, and Christie would be able to pick it up. Right now, Chris Webber on the bench for Sacramento with 2 fouls. Jared Collins, the rookie for Utah, also with 2 fouls. Christie, nice move and a hard foul. And it's a flagrant foul call on Karl Malone, and some pushing and shoving. Officials trying to get in between. Dick Bavetta doing a good job of getting Karl Malone out of the fray, and Christie walks away as well.
Players running in to try and separate and prevent fights sometimes are the ones that wind up being the biggest instigators of it. If you let the officials handle it, you see the rotation. He makes sure that he gets his body on him. There's not going to be a layup. He doesn't try to throw him to the ground. But then the man who gets knocked down, Christie, also has to stay under control instead of hopping up, wrapping his arm around the leg and trying to force the action right there, because he's going to wind up missing a playoff game or 2 if he winds up throwing a punch.
That's a good call on the flagrant.
Yeah, he followed through a little bit. I don't think he meant any harm, and I like the composure of both benches, especially Utah being right in front of their bench. No one came off, which could obviously, as I well know, lead to suspensions.
But all the reserves stayed by the benches. So it's a flagrant 1 foul on Karl Malone. Christie will get 2 shots, and then Sacramento will get the ball. And then a double technical called on Christie Malone. Now, that's important because obvious if either of those 2 players gets a second technical, and it could be in a double technical situation, that's automatic ejection. It has been a very physical game from the start, coming off an extremely physical game the other day in game 1. You see Webber on the bench with the 2 fouls, both teams turning it over, and both teams shooting poorly.
But, Mike, at the end of quarter number 1, these 2 teams combined for 45 points in game 1 as Divac, again, inside off the glass, and now the opportunity for the three-point play. Here we've got a combined total of 22 points between them with 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining. The ball has gone in to Vlade Divac on a regular basis over the last 3 or 4 minutes, and Vlade producing for Sacramento.
Foul is on Karl Malone, and that's Malone's second.
You see, Divac is so enthusiastic still at his age. The ball goes inside. He does a smart thing. Malone, just a flagrant foul. Go back at him. He knows the referees are going to call it tight. Gets a second foul. Gets him on the bench and gets himself a three-point play.
Vlade Divac said he had to be more aggressive. He only had 2 points. Didn't have a field goal in game 1. He's got 5 already in the opening quarter. Russell continues to struggle, and it's Sacramento ball. They're on a 7-0 run.
Well, this will be interesting now for Utah. You've got the 2 main guys, Stockton Malone, on the bench. Last game, the reserve unit came on and crushed Sacramento's second unit, 41-11 for the game. That was huge for them to be involved right down the stretch to the last shot.
Christie for 3, and Rusty LaRue the rebound. I want to welcome to those watching in Canada on TSN. Just over a minute remaining in what has been a rough first quarter. Sacramento leading by a point. LaRue fires away. Kirilenko has been very active in the early going, has it blocked, so then a foul. Russell will sit in. Quincy Lewis will come in.
You have to really be impressed by a rookie in a must-win situation who's so active to start this game. Slashing, cutting to the basket, blocking shots on the other end, now coming in and using his size and length to get to the free throw line after getting a second shot.
Kirilenko knocks it down. Let's check in with Craig Sager.
Well, the 2 big stars are both on the bench. Chris Webber with 2 fouls. He's already put ice on his ankle. He usually does so when he comes out of the game, but here is a chance to rest it. nothing wrong with it. He missed 28 games during the regular season. He was fine yesterday in practice. As for Karl Malone, we know how tough he is, perhaps the best power forward in the game, but that was the first flagrant foul that he has received all year. He told Jerry Sloan he wanted to stay on the court, but Jerry said, no, you got to take a short rest.
Greg, thank you. Kirilenko knocks down another. Lawrence Thunderberg and Hito Turkoglu both come in. As Mike mentioned, the Kings bench, which really did a number on the Jazz during the regular season, were so completely outplayed in game one. That was one of the real keys in the victory, or at least in them keeping it close in that one that they only lost by 3 after being manhandled during the regular season. Toddy Jackson and Donyell Marshall coming off the bench gets the rebound.
Bobby Jackson is one of the guys who did the damage during the regular season to Utah when he came off the bench.
And Jackson called for a reach-in foul. Both teams in the penalty now. It's obvious the officials, and we've got a good crew in Dick Bavetta, Mike Callahan, and Monty McCutcheon. They're calling it a lot tighter than the game one was called.
And it will even be called tighter from here on out after the flagrant foul and the near altercation. And it's up to the players to adjust instead of just complain about calls they don't like. It does no good to argue and complain and whine in playoff series. It's all about the next play.
Rusty LaRue getting some important minutes, start of the year in the NBDL, and now he's in the NBA playoffs. Thunderberg the rebound. Hard to believe the score here in the first quarter, especially with Sacramento on the court. Christie gets inside. Doug Christie, aggressive move. Rick Adelman says he's had his best season, and not just his usual defense. He's done a little bit of everything for the Kings. Jackson, meanwhile, just a superb defender. There's maybe a 10th or 2-second difference between the shot and game clock. Look at LaRue having really problems. Marshall. Kirilenko fouled. And he appeared to get fouled before the shot clock expired and released the ball just in front of the clock.
It almost looked like Kirilenko didn't realize how little time was left on the 24-second clock when he caught it and started to put it on the floor. But obviously he knew enough to get it up just before the 24-second clock went off. Look at the clock up at top. 2-1 shots, foul.
So Kirilenko will shoot 2. The shooting percentages here in the first quarter, as you see his numbers in game one, which was his first NBA playoff game, 26% shooting for Sacramento, 22% for the Utah Jazz. They put a couple of extra tenths of a second up. 1.5 remaining in the quarter.
Can't believe how excited Jeff and I are at the performance tonight. 14, 15 points for the two teams, 29 combined points. Grinded out offense.
It's a slugfest.
Rebound Thunderberg, and will not get a shot off in time, and that will end the first quarter. The pace and the tempo remains in Utah's favor. Both teams struggling from the field, and some foul problems. Weber has 2, and Karl Malone with 2 fouls. Sacramento leads 1-0 in the series, but they're in for another battle. 1-point lead for the Jazz after 1. Second quarter set to begin in Sacramento. The Jazz leading the Kings by 1 after the first here at Arco Arena. And good evening, everyone. Along with Mike Fratello and Jeff Van Gundy, I'm Mike Crane, filling in for Marv Albert. As most of you know, Marv and Mike injured in that car accident last week. We're very happy to report Marv's doing very well. He's going to be back to work soon. As for this guy, we're very glad to have him back. I'm impressed that you're here, but I got to tell you, in the playoffs, you have to play hurt.
Well, we're very fortunate to be here, and I have to thank God my guardian angel was working overtime. The fact that the driver, Marv, myself, could walk away, and I miss my partner very much. I was going to put his name on the back of my shoe, like, you know, Marv, hurry back, but I didn't want to ruin the shoe. So instead, I got you guys a couple little presents here that I know we're missing him tonight, but yes, we will not forget my partner.
We'll wear it with pride, although I can't use yes. That's not my saying.
I understand.
As we start the second quarter, now, most people say, oh, what an ugly first quarter, but you two sickos seem to delight in this kind of game.
Well, control the tempo. Utah understands what it has to do. Utah cannot beat this team running up and down the floor trying to score 110 points. They don't have enough weapons out there. Plus, their 2 best players are up in their late 30s or 40 years of age, stopping them alone. So they have to pick and choose and play wisely, make it to their advantage.
Marshall again, the shot clock winding down. Marshall just kind of flips it up there. Ostertag running it down. Greg Ostertag. Nice feed from Stockton. And Ostertag gets the roll.
Am I missing something, Jeff, where is Utah running down and chasing down every loose ball and coming up with these extra opportunities?
Again, it's just like game one. They've just pounded him on the offensive board, giving him extra possessions, slowing the tempo down to a crawl. This is the way they have a chance to win. The uglier, the better for Utah.
That was their 6th offensive rebound, that last one. Remember, they had 17 in game one. So certainly on pace for that so far. And a foul. Bobby Jackson will pick up the personal foul. That's going to be his second. Right now, let's check in with Craig Sager again.
Oh, surprisingly, in the Utah locker room, the only note, the last words Jerry Sloan said to his team, the 2 keys for tonight: 1, hustle plays, be the first one all the time on the floor. 2, run the floor on defense, get back ready to defend. Nothing about talent and highlights. It's all about hustle and desire.
You know, we talked to Jerry Sloan earlier today, and as Quincy Lewis hits the jumper from the outside, and he said, you know, the first game, we really had good wide open looks. We just couldn't make shots that most teams make most times, and we didn't in that game. So he was happy with their offensive execution.
They shot 39% from the field. Stojakovic's 3 in and out. Meanwhile, after game one, Vlade Divac said, I think game one was their best shot and they didn't win, so they're done. Jazz kind of were amused by those comments, but you usually get those in the playoff series, those type of remarks.
But why? Why would you say something like that? I don't understand that. I don't understand how that helps your team have any better chance to win.
Especially against the Jazz team that certainly rarely loses composure despite a loss. And Marshall gets inside easily. And the Utah Jazz have a 7-point lead.
It's kind of an interesting unit that Utah has on the floor right now. We saw a few moments ago as Quincy Lewis steps in and hits Bobby Jackson with the hip. We saw Lewis, who's raising his hand now, hit that jump shot. And you look and you see that he only played in 36 games this year. Why all of a sudden would Jerry Sloan go with him in the playoffs this way? You know what his answer was? He said, guy practiced hard recently. He said, I thought he deserved the time.
It's a typical way of Sloan rewarding a player. They call the foul, by the way, on Stockton. Weber back in the game with the 2 fouls. Weber knocks down the jumper. Now, he just hit a jumper that he hits a lot. And a lot of times people say, oh, he settles for too many jumpers, but Rick Adelman doesn't think so.
No, he made the point before the game. When he's played against sides like Ostertag, he's got to take him away from the basket, use his quickness, either go by him or make a shot, as we see Padgett miss there. But the rap on Weber is he's soft, and I tell you what, I don't understand that. 24 points, 10 rebounds a game, you can give me that type of softness at any time.
Ostertag doesn't go for the fake. Weber tries to get by him, and Lewis on a reaching foul, trying to help out. So Lewis picks up his first, and the Jazz with their second team foul.
So Weber felt that he had an advantage against Ostertag of putting the ball on the floor, trying to take him off the dribble. He tries to split the double team, gets the foul, and we'll go to a commercial break.
We had 7.6 seconds left on the clock when the play was inbounded. I threw the ball into Carl. He got it back to me, and you know, Weber blocked my 3. He, from that point, he threw it over to Stock. And my thinking on the play was he shoots the ball. I thought it was off, and I'm thinking if I dunk this in, maybe, you know, there's a second or 2 left on the clock. We have a chance to foul, and there's still a chance to, you know, maybe make a play at the end.
It's unlikely that it would have gone in, although you never know with the bounce. You just get caught up in the emotion, but obviously not the right play.
It kind of looked a little different from that overhead camera that it may, you never know when it starts bouncing around the rim there, which way it's going to roll in.
Meanwhile, Padgett, in his 3rd year in the league, hardly played first couple of years, but he's become a very important part of the rotation for Jerry Sloan. He worked a lot in the offseason. He's their best 3-point shooter right now. And Jackson fouled by Stockton. Stockton doesn't like the call, but he pushed him down, and that's his second. So Stockton, Malone, and Weber all have 2 fouls.
Just to digress back to Padgett, a lot of people were questioning why is Scott Padgett in the game at that time. You have to have your best 3-point shooter in the game at that time, and he actually had a good look. Stojakovic went under that handoff. Weber just made a good play to jump out and affect the shot.
Turkle misses. Vandenberg keeps it alive, but Ostertag, who has come alive in this series, the rebound. 3-on-1 for Utah. Marshall's tip won't go, and Turkle with the rebound. Well, horrible shooting continues as Jackson can't hit the three. Marshall lost it, and Stojakovic picks it up. He'll try it. Sacramento shooting 23% from the field.
You know, one thing that bothers me, Bobby Jackson had an 18 to 20-foot shot and ran backwards to shoot a three-point shot. We have so many people that want to hit home runs all the time. Rather than taking the shot that's there within their range, they move back for a lesser percentage shot.
This is getting ridiculous. Well, he misses. Even Stockton missing a layup. Marshall inside, and it dunks a little bit of a higher percentage shot.
You know what you have to guard against right now, both teams, is that the lack of making shots saps your energy defensively, and you get mentally unfocused and out of the game. And I just saw Sacramento jog back instead of sprint back. Every possession is too important right now.
The Kings are 0 for 9 from three-point range, make it 0 for 10. Well, they get another offensive rebound. Sacramento with 5 offensive boards, 8 for the Jazz. Turkoglu blocked. Offensive foul. And that's his second personal.
One thing they are doing, Utah, they are throwing their bodies all over the place. That time Quincy Lewis came from the offside as Turkoglu was going up. There he is, planted, set, ready to take the body contact.
You lean in as the offensive player, you're going to get that charge called all the time. You know, after game 1, Doug Christie said that the Jazz always use dirty tricks. Chris Webber said they push the limit. There's always talk about how sometimes the Jazz play dirty. They don't play dirty. They just play hard.
They play hard. They play physically, and I think they achieve what their goal. They're in everybody's heads that they are a dirty team, and they're nothing even close to dirty. They're just a hard-playing team. They are what the NBA should be all about.
Marshall, Daniel Marshall, who had a solid outing in game 1, knocks that one down, and it's a 9-point lead for the Utah Jazz. Divac. Nice hook from Vlade Divac, already with 7 points in the game.
When you see him shoot a hook shot like that, it looks so easy. You say, how come all big men with their back to the basket can't master that little move? Couple dribbles to the middle, plant the left foot, come up with the right-handed hook. If you're lefty, what you do it the other way.
Webber on the steal. Stockton trying to alter it. And with 2 fouls, Stockton couldn't take a chance. He goes barreling into a cameraman along the baseline. But right back up.
And also, to go back to your point, Coach, you wonder, when you see Divac score that easily, how does he go scoreless in a game? Like he did in game 1.
Well, that happens every so often, but sometimes I wonder if Vlade doesn't run out of gas every so often, need a night or two to recuperate.
Lewis on Christie. And a foul. Jerry Sloan doesn't like the call, but the officials have been very consistent. They see what kind of game it is, and they continue to call it tightly. Now, we talked about the bench in game 1 and the dominant Jazz bench. Scoring in game 2 for the bench, 11-0 in favor of Utah. So again, Jerry Sloan's reserves have done the job.
Lewis, Malone, Stockton, all with 2 fouls out there for Utah.
Webber misfires. Christie keeps it alive. Divac comes up with it. Blocked by Kirilenko. Second effort won't go. Boy, they are pounding each other down low. Malone struggled early shooting. Marshall off the mark. Kirilenko the rebound. And Kirilenko has some real toughness to his game. Lewis off the glass.
Bank! Oh, my.
The Jazz back up by 7. With just under 5.5 to play in the second. Christie. Pretty move from Doug Christie.
You can't get too much help from the offside against that because you've got Stojakovic planted out there behind the three-point line.
Divac with a block, but a foul call. And Daniel Marshall will go to the line as Vlade Divac picks up his 2. So a timeout on the floor with just over 5 minutes remaining in the first. Chris Webber with a nice play, but his Kings still trail by 5.
The NBA playoffs on TBS are brought to you by American Express Financial Advisors. Make life rewarding. And by Kia Motors, makers of a full line of quality cars backed by a 10-year warranty program.
for three. Ball tipped. Nash running. He's getting a chance to get it off. Oh, Steve Nash at the buzzer. The NBA playoffs continue tomorrow night on TNT. Game 2 of the Raptors and the Pistons. Detroit winning big in Game 1, followed by Game 2 of the Timberwolves and the Mavericks. Dallas coming from behind to beat Minnesota. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern. Already, the playoffs very, very exciting. Bunch of series tied at 1 apiece in the early going as Marshall will go to the line for 2.
You're looking for some early reasons why the score is what it is right now. Sacramento only 2 points off of fast breaks. And you mentioned earlier, Mike, the fact that in Game 1, Utah had 17 offensive rebounds. Well, already they have 10 with 5 minutes remaining here in the second quarter.
You saw the look on Rick Adelman. That's one of the areas he was not happy with, despite the victory.
But if you shoot as poorly as Utah is shooting, you're going to have a lot more chances for offensive rebounds as well. They've got to continue to get offensive rebounds as they start to shoot the ball better.
Your rebounding average should go up in a game like this, the way these two teams are shooting the basketball. Feet inside, Perelenko with another block, his 3rd of the game.
He's like a free agent rover back out there. Anybody that gets close to the basket, he leaves his man, runs in to help out a teammate.
Brian Russell puts it in, and that's going to be a sigh of relief for Russell. That's his 2nd field goal. Really struggled with scoreless in Game 1. Has had a season-long shooting slump, but boy, do they need him. Russell with the steal down the other end. And you talk to the Jazz coaching staff, they'll say despite his problems offensively, he never let it bother his defensive game during the year. And you can't say that for all players.
Well, they need him to be able to make shots so they can keep him on the floor to play the defense that you just saw. And he's got to be more decisive with his offense. If he's open, he's got to step up and make.
Marshall decisive there. And Daniel Marshall now with 10 points. He's the game's leading scorer. 11-point lead for the Utah Jazz. Their biggest lead here in the first half.
When you're number 2 in the NBA in scoring, averaging almost 105 points per game during the regular season as Christie misses a 3, you've got to be sitting there right now if you're Rick Adelman saying, what is going on? There is a problem out here right now that we need to find an answer to when we go in. At halftime, we see Pete Carroll sitting next to him as assistant coach, who is largely responsible for putting a lot of the offense system in here, but 22 points, come on.
They're 0 for 11 from downtown. Turnover there. Could it be a case of, hey, Sacramento's been the #1 seed. They're supposed to win. There's some pressure now on them, and it's a little difficult situation playing as the hunted.
I'll tell you, some of the shots they're missing, particularly the 3-point shots, are open looks that in the regular season they were knocking down as one of the great shooting teams.
Bad pass from Weber, and Russell deflected it. Last touch by the Jazz, so the Kings will inbound with 11 left on the shot clock.
You know, they were beaten by an average of almost 23 points in the 4 regular season games. When you look at some of the scores of those games, you say to yourself, my goodness, this isn't even going to be a series. But you know differently when you understand what the Utah team is all about, those veteran players.
Absolutely, and in the playoffs, Jerry Sloan's made the point he's going to play his main 2 guys, Stockton and Malone, 40-plus minutes. And, you know, you look at the scores that they beat Utah by in the regular season, swept them, where they averaged 113 points, and here, 22 points in the first half with 3 minutes to go.
You see the run is Utah with the double-digit lead. Marshall's been a big key off the bench. And a foul call on Vlade Divac. And that's going to be his 3rd.
That was an excellent call because it wasn't the body contact. It's as the player was making his spin move, Vlade's right leg wound up actually tripping the offensive player. Watch here. He goes baseline on the spin back. There's the right foot that goes in there and winds up tripping Marshall.
Not an intentional trip, but one nonetheless. He's got 3 fouls. He'll go to the bench. His team down by 11. At Arco Arena, a shocking score. The Kings with 22 points with less than 3 minutes remaining in the second. I want to remind you, coming up next is the AT&T halftime report. with the Emmy Award-winning Ernie Johnson, along with Kenny Smith, Pete Bessie, and Magic Johnson. They'll recap Game 2 of the Magic and the Hornets. Orlando winning in overtime, so that series is tied at 1. No team has gone up 2-0. The first 3 series with the Game 2, it's all 1-1. Jazz trying to do the same thing here tonight. Shot clock winding down. Kirilenko wide open. And it's a 13-point lead for Utah.
Kirilenko has done so many good things, I should say, on the court. Hustling after loose balls, getting on the glass, blocking shots, and that's only his second field goal attempt. He's 2 for 2 from the floor.
7 points, 3 boards, 3 blocks, and there's another forced turnover. The Jazz during the regular season were #1 in the NBA in forcing turnovers. That's the 9th for Sacramento. An impressive first half of defense for the Utah Jazz. Stockton, Bibby blocks it. Turkoglu saves it. Weber running the floor. Foul on Russell. He tried to help him out, but Weber is hurt, shaken up on the play. After the initial foul, Russell tried to kind of break it in his fall. As Weber still getting up.
He actually had his arm around him even when he fouled him, just, I think, to prevent a hard-looking type of foul. I mean, yeah, he makes contact, and he's trying to prevent the layup, but his arm goes around. There's his left arm around the back of him. He's not trying to throw him to the ground.
Weber kind of walking it off. Russell with his second foul. So free throws coming up. The Kings 4 of 5 from the line. And Weber's numbers playing with 2 personals.
This is really a critical time for Utah right now. They got a 12-point lead. Weber's going up to make it 11 possibly. They want to keep it a double-digit lead. They cannot in the last 2 minutes let Sacramento make a run so that they feel good going into halftime. You need to play from in front against this team, particularly here at Arco.
All the momentum of that good play could really go to waste with any kind of run for the Kings, as Stockton will bring it up after Weber knocks down a pair. And a foul away from the ball. Christie. And Russell getting tangled up. And Christie picks up his first. And that's the 4th team foul against Sacramento.
Christie anticipated what side the offensive player was going to cut. He guessed right. He was on that side. The offensive player basically ran over the top of him and tried to pick up the offensive foul.
Marshall looking to post up Turkoglu. Quick move, count it, and 1. Daniel Marshall with a terrific first half. He's got 12 points, so the Jazz back up by 13.
Well, Daniel Marshall has a 3-inch height advantage over Turkoglu. When Sacramento went small, Jerry Sloan wanted to post Marshall against Turkoglu. He goes to his left shoulder jump hook. He finishes him off, and he goes to the free throw line. The playoffs are about matchups. That's a positive matchup for Utah.
Marshall misses the free throw, but he's enjoyed coming off the bench. Certainly effective here in the first half. Minute and a half remaining, second quarter. And another turnover, number 10 for the Sacramento Kings. Pollard will return for Sacramento. Bench scoring, Utah 19, Sacramento nothing. Second straight game in favor of the Jazz.
Would you guess that Utah would be up 13 points with Karl Malone shooting 1 for 6 and John Stockton 0 for 3. That's 1 for 9 between the 2 main guys here in the first half.
Marshall and Kirilenko have had huge first halves. Marshall misfires on that one. Weber with another rebound. Terrific outlet pass. Stojakovic to finish.
See, those are the baskets you have to eliminate in the playoffs. John Stockton got caught underneath the basket. Stojakovic struggling to make a basket from the perimeter, gets a layup. You never know what can get a guy off. Those baskets have to be eliminated.
They've eliminated them for the most part through the first 2 games. Russell for 3. Ryan Russell from downtown. And Russell, after being scoreless in game 1, has 7 points in the first half. And now the largest lead, a 14-point advantage. Weber. And Malone with a rebound. Kirilenko, pretty feed to Marshall. And the Jazz Just with an impressive first half lead by 16 and some boos here at Arco Arena.
Just the fact that Kirilenko worked so hard, kept his eyes concentrated on the rim, it brought Weber over thinking he was going after a block shot, and then it was an easy drop-off.
Stojakovic knocks down the three. And that's a big bucket for the Kings.
Sometimes just a layup can get a shooter going. It kind of breaks the ice for him.
Fewest amount of points that Sacramento scored in half the season's 29. That's what they have right now. Shot clock is off. Jazz will hold it for the final shot of the half. Stockton puts it up, puts it in with 1.2 remaining. Christie, it'll count if it goes. Not a bad attempt from Doug Christie. The first half comes to an end, and the Utah Jazz with a terrific defensive performance and more great play from their bench, leading by as many as 16, up 44-29.
Well, you're going into halftime right now, and if you're Jerry Sloan, you're telling the guys, you did exactly what we wanted to do. You created the tempo that enabled us and gave us a chance to try and win this game. The only problem is there's 24 minutes remaining in the second half.
Great bench play from the Jazz, including Daniel Marshall, who's standing by with Craig Sager.
Well, Daniel, everybody's having a hard time scoring except you. 14 points. What are you doing offensively?
I'm just reading how they play us. You know, they want to sag in on Carl. I can go out and hit the foul line jumper. If they don't, I can go in there and post up. As Coach told us, we did well in execution last time, and we just feel that's an important part of stopping their break.
They averaged 113 points in the 4 regular season games. They only have 22 at intermission. How tough has your defense been, and can you sustain it?
I think our defense has been well, but I think the main thing is we've been executing. When you execute, it limits their fast break opportunities. You go to the offensive boards, it limits them also, and I think we've been doing a good job of doing both.
Thanks a lot. Let's go back to Mike.
All right, Craig. Jazz with the 15-point lead. Kings scored just 29 points in the first half, shoot 27% from the field, and just 1 of 13 from downtown. Halftime here at Arco. Let's go to Atlanta now, and the Emmy Award-winning very physical first half at Arco Arena in Sacramento, one to the Jazz liking as they have a 15-point lead trying to even this series at 1 game apiece, 44-29. Again, everyone, mind-boggling that Sacramento have just 29 points in the first half. Mike Fratello, obviously some changes have to be made. What do they do in the second half?
Well, you know, they actually did play pretty good defense. Normally during the course of the season, Utah shoots almost 45% from the floor. They held Utah to 40%, holding to 44 points. Their problems were at the offensive end, and it simply could come down to this. Rick Allen has to relax his team. They're pressing way too hard. No one is making shots. Steals, offensive rebounds, do something else to gain points.
Jazz, meanwhile, they played a terrific first half, especially on the defensive end. But they've got to be careful, Jeff, because this is a Sacramento team that has the ability to come back.
Yeah, plus 15, but they're playing against a team with the best spurtability in the entire league. The Knicks were here last year when I was coaching them, up 16 at half. The lead went like that. Kirilenko was terrific in the first half, but he's got to be on top of his defense against Stojakovic. He allowed a fast break layup late and an open 3. He's got to be right with him to prevent him from getting open looks.
Spurtability, I like that word.
How about that?
We'll see if they have that spurtability. As you look at the numbers, tonight's Home Depot game summary in the first half, 27% shooting, just a 1 of 13 from three-point range, and another good game for the Jazz in the rebounding department. And look at the bench, and that's staggering because Sacramento has one of the best benches in the NBA.
You're talking about guys like Bobby Jackson coming off the bench, Hito Turkoglu, who many considered for the 6th man award, Scott Pollard. These players just cannot get themselves going, and it seems like the Utah players, whoever he puts in, we're talking about Jerry Sloan, they seem to produce for him.
Weber had some foul problems in the first half, but starts the second half in good fashion. Sacramento with such offensive ability, as Jeff mentioned, they can come back and do it in a hurry. Malone takes it away from Bibby, draws the foul, shot won't go, and Karl Malone will shoot 2. Let's check in with Craig Sager.
Well, Rick Edelman told his team to play basketball, stop whining. We're giving up too many easy plays. We're not following up on plays. We're not rebounding. We need to settle down. He said the biggest change is that they've been jumping their pick and rolls, taking their offense out of sync. He told the team to swing the ball to the weak side because Page is standing there wide open.
All right, Craig. Again, they were 1 of 13 from three-point range, but a lot of them were good looks.
Absolutely. They drove the ball. Utah is one of the best help defensive teams in the league, but they are vulnerable at the three-point line. A lot of the looks were good looks, missed. They've got to knock those down and get back in the game.
Malone with just 6 points, but he has 4 assists. How about Karl Malone, 1 of 6, John Stockton, 1 of 4, and they're up by 15.
Jeff, you mentioned they were vulnerable, Utah, at the three-point line, and there's only 2 teams worse than them guarding the three-point line during the course of the regular season. Teams shot almost 39% against them from the three-point line.
And the three-point line struggles continue. Bibby off the mark. Stockton with 6 assists and 0 turnovers in the first half. And his minutes are up come playoff time. Averages about 31 during the regular season. He'll be up in the high 30s during the playoffs. Stockton inside. Does not get the roll, and Weber rebound. Jazz very pesky on defense. A lot of deflection. Stojakovic, Divac, and a foul as Divac will shoot 2. Utah Jazz up by as many as 16 in that first half. As Divac will shoot the 2. That's the 3rd foul on Brian Russell. Kings have beaten the Jazz 7 straight, including all 4 here in the regular season and in the first game of the playoffs. A couple from last season as well. A lot of them been close. Remember back in the '99 playoffs, Mike, that was such a great series. Jazz winning in 5, bunch of overtime games. So although they've only faced each other in the playoffs that one time, a rivalry has developed.
Because that was such a great series. That was the 50-game season. The season was shortened due to the players' strike. And then they wound up playing each other 5 overtime games, counting the playoffs that season.
Malone, good defense from Weber. Kirilenko, who had a terrific first half, has it poked away. Malone trying to draw the foul on Weber. Weber did a good job just going straight up. Nice feed from Christie, and Weber his second basket of the 3rd quarter.
That should be prevented. They got out in transition. It wasn't a quick transition. There's no reason to be giving up dunks on a slow break like that.
Weber playing with the 2 fouls and a reaching foul down low as Russell tried to get in.
Let's take a look at the fast break. The ball's going to advance down the right sideline. This is where you want to look as they run the floor. Where are the dark jerseys protecting the lane? Here comes the ball down the right side. You see the white jerseys sprinting right down the middle. In fact, you have 2 of them there. Out in front, you could have had Stojakovic with the first pass.
And Collins and Malone jogging back. You got to sprint back on every possession.
They haven't done a lot of jogging in this game. That time it hurt them. Lead cut to 11. Shot clock winding down. Collins not aware of it. Christie on the steal and Russell the foul. And the Jazz struggling a bit on the offensive end, much like they did in the first couple of minutes of the opening half.
That's an absolutely huge play. Brian Russell, 4 fouls. Fast break. They're in foul trouble. Now they've got a sub and bringing in Quincy Lewis, with Brian Russell playing much, much better since midway through the first quarter.
What's happened is Sacramento has tightened up its defense on Malone and Stockton. Not like those 2 guys tore them apart in the first half, but they're putting much more pressure on them, and as a result, Stockton and Malone are giving up the basketball to players who are having a tough time making plays with the shot clock running down. You leave Collins out there with the ball with 3 seconds left. He doesn't know what to do with it. Instead of holding it, take the 24-second violation, he throws a bad pass, which leads to the turnover.
Weber gets inside. Good interior defense. Ostertag and Quincy Lewis have checked in. Kirilenko, oh, nice catch off the Lewis pass. Kirilenko having a terrific game.
He had enough just feel for the game to catch it when he was in the air and shoot it rather than come back down and take a chance on getting a shot block.
Bibby got inside with too many players around him. Stockton, Kirilenko, foul. Weber went in there to grab, and it should be Weber's third personal. And Andrei Kirilenko, the rookie, will shoot 2.
We'll watch now as Utah starts out on its fast break. Once we start rolling this forward, you're going to watch how the jerseys start to fill their legs. Stockton knows Kirilenko right now is across the floor. He will take the ball hard and find Kirilenko filling the lane. From the time Stockton got that outlet pass, he knew where Kirilenko was the whole time.
And you have to look at that fast break. Malone was very unselfish. Many ways to be unselfish. He was the first man in the lane, ran through. Kirilenko was the trailer. By Malone running hard, it opened up Kirilenko's lane to the basket.
Malone has always been an unselfish star. Always a good assist man, despite being the leading scorer. Stojakovic, good aggressive move, blocked by Ostertag.
That's what frustrates Jerry Sloan. You got a guy that big who can influence the game that way. There's a transition score. Malone gets that low post area in transition. Perfect feed pass that time for the layup. You say to yourself, why can't Ostertag do that every night? Just give us some block shots, rebound the basketball, and then we'll run and get easy scores.
He played well in game 1. Bibby, that's a 2-pointer. Ostertag does a good job boxing out. You know, his career's playing performance is like a Clint Eastwood movie. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. He had a good one in the first game and another good one here, but you never know on any given night.
Size matters in this league, and he's got the ability to get size rebounds. He's got the ability to block shots.
Malone knocks it down.
That guy just got ability right there.
And the lead is 18, largest lead of the game for the Utah Jazz. This crowd is stunned. Weber gets inside. Christie set him up nicely. Weber with 12 points, 16-point Utah lead. 4 minutes gone by here in the third. Jazz down 1-0 in this best-of-5 series. They lost a close one. A 3-point game here at Arco. And Lewis draws a foul. And Doug Christie calls for a foul. Well, no, check that. And it's Bibby, his third.
Let's go back a moment ago. These two defenders are forcing John Stockton down to the baseline. So everyone's yelling for Utah to this man right here, Ostertag, get out of there. And it's going to open up Malone for the jump shot. Watch Ostertag get out. Just the one drop step there opens up the jump shot for Karl Malone.
Lewis will shoot. He was in the act of shooting. That's already the 14th foul for Sacramento. As Quincy Lewis misfires.
In this series, we have two of the best shooting foremen in the NBA. Weber at the elbow area, 17, 18 feet, knockdown shooter. Malone probably has another step on his range. Great jump shooter. Makes it easier to play offense when your bigs can make open jump shots.
Both free throws off. Lots of times fans want them to shoot more, but when you shoot that well, why not? Good feed from Christie again, and this time Weber draws the foul. Ostertag hit him, and free throws coming up for Weber.
We've seen 2 times in a row now that Sacramento has slipped screens. Instead of holding the screen, trying to knock off the defensive man, watch Weber as he sets the screen, suddenly go. As soon as he feels Malone, maybe he heads out, boom, he goes, he knows he has a half step. You need a perfect pass, but they've gotten it both times. One time he dunks, this time he goes to the foul line.
Ostertag has to be earlier on his rotation, and if you remember what Craig said at halftime, they knew they were trapping the screen and rolls. The one great counter against the trap is the early slip. As Coach said, they've gotten it twice. Earlier rotation necessary for Utah.
And you have to know, as a defensive team, if they are starting to slip the screens, that next rotation man has to start going early. He has to anticipate that that man's leaving early, so he has to come early.
The adjustments that are made, and in a playoff series, you start to know all these things. From a coaching standpoint, you have to love a playoff series because it's the same team and all the different adjustments you make from game to game.
And usually the biggest adjustment is your level of intensity. You're seeing a Utah Jazz team that for the first 2.5 quarters is playing a lot harder.
That's a good call right there. Lewis was frustrated. He couldn't find an open teammate. As a result, he takes his arm and shoulder, lowers it into the defender, gives him a shot to try and clear some space. Watch him step in, boom, try and clear some space on Christie. Good call by the official.
So a turnover for the Utah Jazz. And it's their 9th. Momentum switching a little bit. Christie with an offensive foul. Lewis comes right back and defends Christie beautifully, who agrees with the call from Dick Bavetta. That's his second.
what I like is Quincy Lewis obviously has studied his personnel report. Christie is a predominant right-hand driver, moves his feet, cuts off the drive, and gets the offensive foul right back at Christie, who had done just the same to him on the other end.
Lewis sits down. Stockton, Malone, Ostertag, Kirilenko, and Daniel Marshall. Marshall was the leading scorer in the game in the first half, still is with 14. Good hands from Divac. Stockton left open. Doesn't miss many of those.
One thing, you cannot get sloppy in the playoffs. You can't throw careless passes. The defense is too aggressive. They anticipate too well, but they know what plays are coming.
Bibby goes hard and puts it in. Ostertag trying to stop him, but Mike Bibby went right at him and has a chance for a three-point play.
You know, you say to yourself, there's no excuse for this. I mean, Ostertag is 7 feet 2 inches tall. You got Bibby driving in at 6'1", 6'2". You got to go up and block the shot. If you're just going to stand there and put your arms up, I mean, come on, that's what you got you for, is protect the front of the basket, go up and challenge and block the shot. If you're going to foul, might as well foul while you're knocking the ball out of bounds.
Ostertag, his third foul. Bibby puts it in. He was impressive in game 1. And you see the difference. This is why they got him, trading him for Jason Williams. Bibby, a very solid player. Doesn't shoot too much, always thinking about his teammates, but he can score when he wants to.
Absolutely, did a great job, too. Used his body to create contact and negate Ostertag's size.
Ostertag gets inside, and the foul is on Chris Webber, and Webber now with 4 personal fouls. Adelman has not made the move to take him out yet, but he's going to have to with 6:20 remaining in the third, although the team down by 14. Ostertag, 7 rebounds and 3 block shots. I'll remind you, watch the Braves on the Superstation this Thursday. They take on the world champion Diamondbacks at 7:30 Eastern. Braves baseball right here on TBS. Timeout, Sacramento Kings. A sold-out crowd at Arco Arena, still in a bit of a shock. 6:20 remaining in the third. Their team is down by 14.
The NBA playoffs on TBS are brought to you by the Fannie Mae Foundation, showing America a new way home. And by Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down. Make it a Bud Light.
Let's take a look at tonight's Amex leaderboard. Last title won by the Rochester Royals, Sacramento, Kansas City Kings back in 1951. A long time. Used to be, this was a rough place to play, but is now one of the more fun places in the NBA. In fact, remember a story back in 1991. Spud Webb tells the story when he was acquired by the Kings. He walked into the locker room for the first time. Bobby Hansen greeted him by saying, "Welcome to hell." Well, things have certainly changed since then. This is a great place to play. It's one of the best atmospheres in all of professional sports. And the Sacramento Kings this year with the best record in the NBA.
Yeah, Spud actually came here and played very well for them. By that time, he had become a very, very good open jump shooter, something early on in his career. He was a speed demon, up and down in transition. By that time, he had refined. He understood as he grew older, he may not win the slam dunk championship anymore, so you better make open shots. I love him. One of my all-time favorites.
He was taught well. 14-point lead just past the midway point here in the third quarter.
Utah supersized their lineups. Got Kirilenko at the 2 and Marshall at the 3 right now.
Christie knocked it away. Marshall gets it back. Daniel Marshall knocked away. And a 24-second violation now. That stopped the break. But Dick Bavetta made the call. No one had possession when the shot clock ran out.
Dick gives 8 hand signals, and you can pick anyone you want to. He gives take a violation.
The
he gives
bobble, the tap of the head.
Exactly. He wants to show us that he's got the manual down pat. He's got every move down.
He's in his 27th year officiating in the NBA. Over 1,800 games. He's been a great ambassador to the sport for a long time.
He's one of the top 2-3 officials in the game. What I like about him in big games is he lets you vent as long as you don't vent too long.
Yeah, I think he has one of the best dispositions in the league as far as handling and dealing. As you see Chris Webber wheel and deal and come from nothing there but air. But Dick Bavetta at least lets the coach talk, get him off his chest, and then he'll look at you and say, "Okay, you done?"
And you two had a lot to say.
Not I.
Me either.
Webber, good defensive play. Stockton gets it back. Shot clock winding down. Oh, tough play from Stockton. And a lead back up to 16.
Is he 40 or 20? I can't figure it out. This guy is an amazing story. And I'll tell you, Weber's still in there with 4. I think that is a huge gamble, but I like the gamble by Rick Adam on keeping his best players on the floor.
And an offensive foul called. I think it's going to be against Doug Christie, as he tried to fight through, and Christie picks up his 3rd. Kings in the penalty, but obviously don't shoot on the offensive foul. Rusty LaRue comes in, and Stockton obviously very tired. He's very old, and he needs a rest.
Yeah, that he could play 48 tonight, and the competitor he is, he probably wants to.
Jazz playing with a lot of poise in a hostile arena. And a 3-second violation call. Marshall was just camped out.
I don't know if I've seen that move too often. The 7'2", one dribble, penetrate the lane, and try a drop-down pass to a teammate under the basket.
Sometimes NBA players don't know why they were left open, that they were left open on purpose and by design.
Weber, way off the mark. Divac tried to get it. Malone wrestles it away. And then throws it away. So Divac does a good job forcing that turnover. Malone's not happy with Rusty LaRue.
That's one of those things that LaRue goes over. He'll take, even though Karl Malone is the one who threw it out of bounds, he had something to say to LaRue, like LaRue didn't get there quick enough. I mean, first he's trying to hang on. LaRue's trying to come back and help out, but he didn't expect it to be fired with the left hand out of bounds.
I'm sorry, Mr. Malone. Divac knocks it in on a foul. And Divac and Malone have some words, or at least stares.
See, LaRue knows what's best for his employment. He's got to say my bad on that, or he'll be playing back in the NBDL next year.
Meanwhile, Malone picks up his 3rd. Malone has to be careful. He already has a technical foul and a flagrant foul. He picks up a 2nd technical in that back and forth yapping, which sometimes can result in a double technical, and he's out of the game. You wonder why in such important games in the playoffs, where one game can mean the difference between advancing and being eliminated, that these guys get involved in this kind of stuff and take those chances.
It's an emotional sport played by emotional people. But those that can contain their emotions best have the best chance to advance.
Malone trying to draw the foul. Marshall can't go. Stojakovic tips it. Here he comes. The Kings have their shooting percentage up to 30%. And Stojakovic knocks it down. He's got 9 points, and the lead cut to 13. Excuse me, 11.
Things just seem to change a little bit when Stockton goes out. LaRue doesn't give you that little bit of penetration, doesn't give you the same threat that a John Stockton does.
Divac's playing good defense, and a foul called. Divac can't believe it. But he picks up his 4th, and Rick Adelman is beside himself. Divac runs away before he says anything that gets him in trouble.
Karl Malone simply pump faked and gambled that he was going to get the defensive player to leave his feet, then jump into him to draw the contact. He has nowhere to go. There's the fake, and then he leans in. You see the slap, the quick slap by Divac.
Not a hard foul, but a foul.
Not a foul.
You don't think so?
That's a bailout right there. He created the contact by leaning in. I don't like that call.
It looked like that little slap. Divac certainly hated the call.
This is the playoffs, Mike. This is the playoffs. You can't be bailing people out here.
Let's take another look.
Let's see if the slap, watch the right hand of Divac. If it slaps him there on the left arm. The right hand slaps on the left arm. Now, do you like that one?
I don't like that. I don't care. I'm with Divac. I'd run away from that too.
That's why our teams always got beat up against the Knicks.
Our theory was if all 5 guys foul simultaneously, they can only call 1. Or none.
13-point lead with just under 3.5 to play in the 3rd. Pollard is in the game. Divac with the 4 fouls sits. Weber also out with his 4 fouls. Turkoglu's in the game now. Pollard blocked by Karolinko, his 4th block of the game.
He left Peja Stojakovic at the 3-point line and came back and gambled for that block shot.
Malone's pass deflected. Last touch by Padgett. Padgett thought Stojakovic touched it last, and we'll have a timeout.
Mike, will you really get upset if I just call him Pager from now on? Is that okay?
This is Alpha. I am in control of Flight 343.
Just under 3 minutes remaining. Third quarter in game 2 from Sacramento. The Jazz up by 13 points. And bench points in the first game, 41-11. 21-0 here tonight.
Let me help you with this real quick. That's 62-11 in case you have a little problem getting that one.
Here goes Kirilenko. It's inside. What a game he continues to have. 12 points, 4 block shots, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. A little bit of everything.
They're out there that shot an air ball. I can't, I mean, that is just hard for me to imagine. Shot an air ball on a wide open shot. He's such a great shooter. 29% shooting overall for the Sacramento Kings. And they have 46 points with 2:20 to go in the third. Malone wants it. Pollard guarding him. Shuffle past Kirilenko, and he draws the foul. Let's send it over to Craig Sager.
You're mentioning the bench points. The season low for Sacramento is 9 points to their bench. That was January 6th against Milwaukee. And that was a game that Bobby Jackson was in the starting lineup because Mike Bibby was out with a strained right knee. Right now, obviously, they need to get some production out of Bobby Jackson, who's going back in.
One of the reasons Jackson didn't have a big game in game 1 is Bibby played so well in game 1, played a lot of minutes, so there wasn't as much time for Jackson. And the way the game set up, he only played about 14 minutes.
That and Rick Adelman likes to play Bibby and Jackson together, but because of the size of the 2 guard for the Jazz, he found it difficult to get them both on the floor at the same time.
Kirilenko knocks down another. Kirilenko has really enjoyed playing with the Jazz. He loves playing with John Stockton. His quote on Stockton is, he has backhead eyes. I think I understand what he meant.
Yes, we all do.
Weber double. Nice pass inside. Pollard on the second effort. And Scott Pollard, who was invisible in game 1, it's his first field goal.
You know, I want to talk about this guy dribbling the ball right here, Rusty LaRue. You remember Jeff a couple years back when he was playing for Chicago? I mean, you watched him and he was kind of struggling out there, and they had talked about him maybe having potential, but you just didn't see it. Then it seemed like he disappeared for a while. All of a sudden he resurfaces, and you see a player go away and develop, and you know, he looks thin, a thinned down version to me of what he was when he first came in the league, and suddenly there's a spot for him on the right team playing a certain style.
I think when guys are battling between being at the end of a bench and being in the minor leagues, it's so much about their mental approach. Are they bitter about the experience? Or are they still excited about the opportunity?
Turkoglu gets inside. LaRue's getting a chance to play some big-time minutes. John Crotty was the backup point guard, but he's out for the season with an injury.
And Mike, you know, in fairness, you should mention John Crotty was having a great year for Utah. He was playing very, very well before he had the injury. He was a key part of the rotations. As you see, Kirilenko fired the 3.
Nice play by Christie, tipping it ahead. Turkoglu block. Oh, and a block from Kirilenko. That's his 5th block of the game.
For people who may not have seen this young man, we've been saying to you all game what an athlete this young man is. You see him go up here, and Turkoglu, we're talking, is 6'7", 6'8". Kirilenko goes up with the left hand, no contact, and makes the block.
Nearly turn it over. That's one of the best blocks I've seen all season. Christie gets inside and draws the foul on Padgett. And Christie will shoot 2 with 45.5 seconds left in the third.
You know, Scott Layden, who used to be the general manager for the Utah Jazz, deserves a lot of credit for drafting him a couple years ago, knowing that he wouldn't come over. This is his rookie year. Still very, very young player, but a great athlete and knows how to play the game. It's hard to find both of those to go together. An athlete who also knows how to play the game, and he looks like he's been on my weight training program, but that'll come with time.
A lot of teams now perhaps will take that chance with players like that. Of course, Yao Ming from China, one of those guys that they're thinking about. He's got tremendous ability.
A little different insofar as he now has been given permission. You know he can come next year. You don't have to wait for him, and he's ready to come over.
They call the blocking foul on Pollard. Pollard upset with the call. Well, Mike Callahan very dramatically made that call blocking. There was no hesitation in the call. Let's watch Pollard's feet on the play.
Are they inside the restricted area?
But what he called right there was Bobby Jackson, I believe, pushing him into the charge. I think that's where they got the foul call.
And that's exactly it, Jeff. They call it against Jackson, his third, because Pollard was above the restricted area and he looked to be set. So Jackson's called for the foul and LaRue will shoot.
Big possessions coming right here. 38.8. Can Sacramento try to get it below the double digits going into the fourth quarter?
They could go quick, Jeff, try for a quick 2-on-1. They'd have to hurry up and get this first one up.
Jackson fires away. Pollard tries to keep it alive. Ostertag with a rebound.
Poor shot, don't you think, Coach? I mean, that's just not what they wanted.
They had used too much time, and then it was all as if Jackson all of a sudden said, hey, if I get it up quick, we may get 2 for 1, but they had wasted too much time at that point, and then it was a bad shot.
A little over a second difference between shot and game clock down the third quarter. LaRue, Ostertag somehow gets it up and draws the foul. And a goal against Pollard. That's Pollard's third, and Greg Ostertag, having his second straight solid game, will shoot 2.
When you are this big and get your body down underneath the basket, your teammates have to find you there. Look at Ostertag. He's holding his ground. He's got Weber on his back, and now it's a matter of just going up strong. He's got to gather himself, get his legs underneath him, and then power up to the basket to be able to convert the three-point play.
And Rusty LaRue made a hell of an entry pass on that little bounce pass in there, a la Stockton.
Another missed free throw. The Utah Jazz have missed 10 free throws. They're now 17 of 27. That could come back to haunt them.
3 seconds is still enough time to make a long inbound pass, one dribble, and get a decent shot.
Another free throw off the mark. Marshall at the buzzer. And that will end the third quarter. The Jazz at one time had extended their lead to 18 points. A lot to do with the play of Andre Karolinko. 5 blocks, including one of the sensational variety. 3 quarters complete here at Arco Arena in Sacramento. The Jazz trailing the series 1-0, but have a 12-point lead as we get set for the fourth. In Sacramento, 64-52, Jazz leading by 12 as we get set to start the fourth quarter. Let's take a look at tonight's budget. Rent-A-Car Fast Break.
Well, there's a couple things here, Mike and Jeff, that are very, very easy to see that you're not happy if you're Sacramento. First of all, the fast break points, they need more than that. How about right here? Look at the bench point differential right there. And then assists. You don't make shots, tough to get a lot of assists. And I think my telestrator's a little sick tonight with those lines that are coming up.
I think it's your penmanship.
You think it is?
Yeah.
I'll try and do better.
Stockton back in the game. John Stockton with 8 assists and 0 turnovers. Karolinko, who's had a fabulous game, throws it away. Jackson, and a foul. Stockton says, what? But Bobby Jackson with a chance for a 3-point play and the perfect start to the quarter for the Kings.
You just can't turn the ball over in fourth quarters, especially against a team like the Kings, struggling all night to get enough baskets in the half court. Now you allow them to get a fast break 3-point play, cut it under double digits to start the quarter. Just a bad, bad start for the Jazz right there.
This is the closest they've been in the second half. It's a 9-point game.
During the 4 regular season games, Bobby Jackson was actually the 3rd leading scorer against Utah, averaging over 15 points per game.
And each game he played well. It's not like he had one big one. Lewis inside, blocked by Chris Webber. Padgett, though, gets it back and then throws it away. The crowd starting to get back into it. Webber and Divac each with 4 fouls for the Kings. Christie, a bad pass, and Webber's picked up his 5th foul. That makes that pass even worse for Sacramento. Perhaps Webber thinking he had to stop a fast break. Stockton shaken up on the play.
First of all, Webber has to understand how many fouls he has at this particular point. You're talking about playing a whole quarter. The team just has some momentum. So what? There's a steal. Let him go right there. And Stockton takes a bad spill as Weber reaches in and bangs his knee.
Weber will sit with the 5 fouls. Stojakovic in. There's no way Stockton's coming out of this game.
Yeah, I think he took a knee to the thigh. That could be a painful injury, not necessarily today, but going down the stretch of the series.
Stockton hits it out to Karolinko. Daniel Marshall had the big first half. Scores and a foul. Marshall 14 points in the first half. That's his first bucket in the second half.
Turkoglu absolutely cannot guard him one-on-one in the low post. If they're going to play him against Marshall, they're going to have to come down there and dig it out. There's no way he can play him. That's something that Utah should milk time and time again until they stop it.
Another missed free throw, however. Really struggled from the line. They've missed 12, shooting just 59% from the line.
Well, you know, you mentioned Turkoglu playing him. Turkoglu keeps standing behind him. How about getting on the top side and trying, design maybe an entry pass once in a while so they don't catch it so easily down there.
That was his 4th foul. That's a 3. Christie with the rebound. Stockton knocks it away. And somehow gets it to Malone. And Malone decides to slow it down. Sacramento 1 of 15 from three-point range. Shot clock winding down. Pollard with the foul. Pollard picks up his 4th. Half the team has 4 fouls now. And it's before the act, so Utah will take it out of bounds. It's already the 3rd team foul, and we're not even 2 minutes into the quarter.
Like you mentioned, the free throw opportunities that Utah has missed. They're 17 for 29 right now in the game. Normally during the season, they're a 76% free throw shooting team, which makes them better than the halfway mark in the NBA. Right now, just shooting 58%.
Divac has his 5th foul. Crowd upset, but at least at first look, that seemed clearly like a block. And now that's the 4th team foul. 5 on Divac, 5 on Weber. And Rick Adelman wants timeout. There you see the foul woes for the Sacramento Kings.
Well, these are serious problems now because here you are down in the game by 11 points. You have 10 minutes remaining. Do you sit down Weber? Do you take Divac out of the game? Or do you hope that you can play through it and they're smart enough not to pick up their next foul?
Still early 4th quarter of game 2, but the Utah Jazz lead by 11. Let's now listen to tonight's Lamisil Inside Tracks.
There's the coaching staff for Sacramento. Decision-making time. Do we leave Weber in the game or take him out? Weber with 5, Divac with 5. Decision, take 1 off the floor, leave 1 on the floor in case they lose Divac, then they'll come back with Weber. They're trying to buy time right now.
Good hands from Christie. Russell able to get it in a 24-second violation. That's where Christie makes such a difference for the Sacramento Kings.
And I like Rick Adelman's substitution of Thunderbird. He's not in the normal rotation, but he does have the ability to score points in bunches, and he needs to get him a lift off the bench and go at Malone if they can.
He may buy him some extra shots with offensive rebounds too, Jeff.
Divac against Marshall. Malone's help defense altering that shot. Still plenty of time, 9.5 remaining, but the crowd for the most part, which is one of the loudest, if not the loudest in the league, has been taken out of the game. Stockton gets inside, although Stockton and Malone, those guys, they're not bothered by any crowd noise. Still Utah ball as Stojakovic touched it last.
After game number 1, all you saw Sacramento talking about was how Utah does all the little things. They're very physical. They hit you here, they grab you there, they trip you as you're going down. And it's almost as if the Kings came out tonight and they were going to show they could stand up against the physicalness. Now they're the ones in foul trouble with a lot of problems here with the last 9 minutes to go.
Serious foul trouble. And Divac still on the floor with the 5 personals.
too often players confuse fouling with being physical. You don't have to foul to play physical basketball.
Stojakovic to steal, and Marshall trying to prevent the fast break. Commits the personal. That's the second team foul against Utah, first on Marshall.
That's smart. They do not want this crowd to get back in the basketball game again, so stop it once. I guess like when Julius Erving was playing, and he'd come down with the ball on the fast break about half court, and you see somebody run up and tackle Julius. They weren't going to let him take off at the foul line and dunk the basketball. So go foul him early, give him the ball out on the side.
And a foul call. The Stojakovic cut. Utah actually has more fast break points than Sacramento tonight.
But I'll tell you one thing, they're getting themselves in trouble in the fourth quarter. Turnovers, missed free throws, long, quick jump shots. That's a recipe for disaster in fourth quarter.
Good comeback to Halton. Sacramento with that comeback ability. And Divac, nice move inside. They get it to single digits again. This is the closest they've been in the second half. The crowd getting on its feet, trying to urge their Kings on. Russell gets inside, a little out of control. Jackson taps it in.
Well, what do? Give Bobby Jackson a point on that, and then Russell each get 1 point?
I think Malone, who was the closest Jazz, they give it to Brian Russell, whoever's the closest player.
They'll be begging for that basket.
Karolinko called for a reach-in foul. That's the 14th foul.
Russell looked like he was going to pull up. Instead, keeps the dribble alive and goes for the lefty layup. And then there's Bobby Jackson coming in, trying to get a hand on it. A little bit too far past the ball, so instead, he tips it in.
I think Marshall was closer. He should have got the 2 points. Divac and Marshall blocks it. Still Sacramento ball, 10 on the shot clock.
This game, in large part, will come down to who can get to the free throw line. Both teams are in the penalty now, and who can make free throws.
Jackson makes a field goal. Bobby Jackson trying to come alive. 9-point game, just under 8 to play. Malone puts it in. Every time Sacramento appears to go on a run, the Jazz make a big play. Stojakovic, that's a three-pointer. Peja Stojakovic now in double figures, and he cuts it to an 8-point game.
It's almost like all of a sudden, everybody remembered how the ball's supposed to come out of your hand. The shots look good, there's rotation on it, and they're hitting the bottom of the net.
Their shooting is way up to 33%. Russell doesn't get the spin. Stojakovic the rebound, and a whistle and a foul. They didn't even hear the whistle as the foul is on Stojakovic, the third. And Karolinko will go to the line. They're in the penalty. So on the rebound, the foul goes against Stojakovic.
You know, it's a pretty good move that the officials have those little power packs on their belt, because in all honesty, if you're the official scorer at the table that controlled the clock, with this crowd, with this noise, if you weren't watching Dick Bavetta under the basket, how did you know he was going to walk out with a foul signal? So at least the officials can help protect the timer at the table by hitting their button.
That's the 13th missed free throw by the Utah Jazz. And it's the second one. And a call, Monty McCutcheon. See what he calls.
Oh, not the blood thing again.
Karolinko. So instead of taking a timeout, he's going to come out of the game, and Quincy Lewis will come in.
And as soon as Jerry Sloan saw what the official was walking over to the table, he had Lewis at that table so quick, he was not wasting the timeout.
See, this is what I don't like. Fourth quarter, that could change the whole momentum of the game. Having to take a guy out like Karolinko, who's played so well.
You understand that they've got to attend to it, but maybe let a team fix it quickly. Jackson inside, Divac, and a foul. Vlade Divac with a chance for a three-point play. And the lead for Utah cut to 7.
Got to keep the ball out of the lane. They have not done a good job of stopping this penetration. He hesitates on his dribble, gets no help from the weak side, and then Jackson just gets in too deep and makes a good decision with the pass.
5 fouls on Russell.
And they don't have my shot blocker Karolinko in because of the blood rule.
He's going to come back in. Divac able to put it in. What was once an 18-point lead has been cut to 6, and there's still plenty of time, and this crowd now up on their feet.
Just think if they change that someday, it'll be known as the Van Gundy rule, whatever the change is.
I'm keeping hammering on that point. I'm not going to let go.
Here comes Jackson off the Malone miss. Weber, Divac, 4-point game.
Here comes the Kings' spurtability. It's back to 4 now, and the momentum has obviously shifted.
It's amazing how the transition game gets the team going and at the same time gets this entire building up on its feet.
What was an 18-point lead has been cut to 4, just over 6.5 remaining in the fourth. And now time for the spectacular finishes presented by Armor All Wipes.
This was game number 7 of a tremendous playoff series between Atlanta with Dominique Wilkins and the Boston Celtics with Larry Bird. This shot right here should not have counted. You can't make that shot falling down, pulling it up with your left hand. But he did.
What I saw in that series was a lack of adjustments against Bird. Who was coaching that Hawk team?
I don't know. We won't answer that question right now.
Well, hopefully we'll have a spectacular finish here tonight. The Sacramento Kings on the comeback trail right now.
Jeff, let me ask you, you're in the Utah timeout. You know the momentum has shifted. It's down to a 4-point game. What are some of the things you can do to try and change momentum for Utah?
Even though Utah hasn't shot the ball well from the free throw line tonight, get to the free throw line and or make a hustle play and or let your superstar Stockton make a leaning 8-footer along the baseline.
Give it to your 40-year-old, is that what you're saying?
Not a bad idea.
Just let the old guy have it. Lead back up to 6.
But a hustle play right now is critical. They got to get the loose balls again. They got to get off their heels and get back on their toes and be the aggressor.
Divac's playing with 5 fouls, gets inside, gets his rebound. Vlade Divac, 1 foul away from being disqualified, playing still aggressive basketball.
Well, I like what you said about getting to the foul line. Maybe down in the low post area, try and draw a foul. Stops the clock, I know, but you get the crowd kind of sitting back down again. You go shoot 2 free throws. Hopefully you got money in the bank that way.
Stockton, Russell for 3. Ryan Russell with a big bucket, scoreless in game 1. Russell with 12 points in game 2.
You have to be happy the way they responded to the timeout. They come out and make 2 baskets to Utah Jazz.
Stockton with 1 basket and a perfect setup the other. Stojakovic, oh, nice finger roll.
It's the same problem they've had the entire game, that side pick and roll. They get no help from the offside because they have obviously shooters out there in Sacramento. You've either got to change up how you play, maybe force the pick and roll down to the baseline, Jeff, if you don't want to trap it.
Stockton again to Karolinko, and he can't get the dunk to go, and then the foul. And let's see if it's on Divac or Weber, both within the vicinity. And it goes against Vlade Divac. He is fouled out of the game. Divac with 21 points in the game is done with 5 minutes remaining.
Karolinko looked like he had a short finish. Stockton turns the corner, nice little bounce pass, and here it looks like Karolinko is going to finish, but he just doesn't get it quite to the rim. And then Vlade, after he tries to block the first one, turns around, and there's the foul on the second one. Weber knows that he doesn't like the fact that his big man teammate up front, Vlade Divac, has fouled out. 21 points for Vlade.
2 points in game 1, 9 of the 21 here in the 4th quarter of game 2.
Many times in that situation, another player on the Kings would have tried to act like he had the foul, but Weber couldn't do that because he also had 5.
Meanwhile, Ostertag finally hits a free throw. He was 0 for 4. The Jazz have really struggled from the line, now 19 of 32.
You know, I just figured it out. That's why the Knicks, all 5 guys would raise their hand when the whistle was blown for a foul. They were all trying to take credit for the foul.
We knew who we had to protect. Sprewell Houston never fouled.
Stojakovic. Russell good helping out. Weber gets inside. Pretty shot from Weber. 4-point game with just over 4.5 to play. Jazz trying to tie this series at 1 game apiece. Sacramento looking to take a 2-0 commanding lead in this best-of-5 series.
You notice you have Bibby on the bench right now. They need Bobby Jackson. There's the dish off by Stockton, the finish by Ostertag. Jackson's their defensive stopper. They know they have to get stops if they're going to win this game.
Stockton, his 10th assist without a turnover.
had 4 straight great plays. Jumper and 3 passes that have led to baskets.
And nearly got that rebound. Stojakovic short on the 3. Carmelo with a big rebound. But he's out of hand in every basket since that timeout.
Again, I did not like the shot that Bobby Jackson took from the right-hand corner. I mean, he rushed up the shot when he could do so much more to get his teammates a better shot or get himself a higher percentage shot.
Karolinko inside. And Ostertag with a huge tip-in. Greg Ostertag having a very strong game. 7 points, 10 boards.
We're seeing the future of the Utah Jazz making big plays here down the stretch. When Malone is gone, when Stockton's gone, people are going to have to step up in the future for them. We see them making huge plays here.
The way they're playing, though, they're not going to be gone for a long time. Ostertag the foul, and we've got timeout. Just over 3.5 remaining. 4th quarter at Arco Arena. Jazz now back up by 8. Little breathing room. Just over 3.5 to play in the 4th. Jazz lead by 8 here in Sacramento. And the Stars will be out in full fashion Thursday night on TNT as the Lakers host the Trailblazers at Staples Center. Watch game 2 of the 76ers at the Celtics, followed by the Trailblazers and the Lakers Thursday night on TNT.
We'll be in Los Angeles on Thursday night, our crew. That's our game. Now, did Jeff get his own private plane? Because he's not flying with us, is he?
Yes, he's very quiet about the whole affair.
He's kind of like sneaking out on his own, isn't he?
Well, the early bird catches the worm. I made my reservations a little bit sooner than you guys. I was decisive, and so I get to L.A. a couple hours earlier.
You can enjoy your visits to L.A. as opposed to past years.
You can never enjoy a trip to L.A. when Shaq is on the other side of that visit.
Weber knocks down the first. This free throw could be huge in this game as Malone grabs another rebound.
He may be asked to give up your seat, you know, based on years of experience. Rookie.
Seniority, yes.
7-point lead, just under 3.5 to play. Stockton. Malone with the shot clock winding down. Gets it in. Ostertag stripped. Stojakovic got a piece of it. He's had a number of deflections. Stojakovic for 3. Won't go. And Christie with a rebound. And a blocking foul against Brian Russell. And for Russell, he's out of the game. Russell with 12 points after being scoreless in game 1 is finished for the night.
The last time down, Sacramento changed their side pick and roll coverage defensively. Instead of forcing the pick and roll down to the baseline, they were going to slide under. So Stockton got to the middle of the floor, found Malone. Malone dished. Ostertag got stripped on the way up. He's got to keep the ball up higher.
Marshall will come in, and Christie to the line. Christie, 5 for 5 for the line tonight. And again, both teams struggling now at the free throw line. It's a second miss and a second time down the court for Sacramento.
Nearly every critical playoff loss that we had with the Knicks was in large part due to missed free throws. It's just so important to be able to make, not just the entire game, but particularly in the 4th quarter.
Sacramento needs more than 1 of 2. They're within 6, just under 3 to play. Malone fires away, knocks it down. Another big shot from Malone. He's got 16. Weber gets inside. Pollard's tip won't go. Stockton comes away with it. Stockton feeds to Karolinko. Stojakovic with the strip down low. And here comes Bobby Jackson. 4-on-1. Weber right at Ostertag, and he commits the foul. And Weber will shoot 2.
That was a huge fast break transition opportunity for Utah. They had numbers 3-on-1. They did not convert that fast break, and as a result, Sacramento goes back to the line for 2. So there's a potential 4-point swing. Look at these numbers now. Stockton looks right, dishes left, and here Karolinko starts to go up, and I think it was Stojakovic that got his hand in there. They turn right back around and come right back at him. Ostertag takes the foul to prevent the layup.
Stojakovic has had a number of those deflections defensively. He's come up with some big plays here in the 4th, not known for that part of his game.
Yeah, when you look at his offensive game, when you think about game 1 and combine it with this game thus far, he's just 12 for 32 from the floor in both games combined.
Weber hits a pair. 6-point Utah lead. They've cut it to 4 several times, but that's as close as they've been in the second half. Utah is led by as many as 18. Stockton. Marshall. That's a 3. Puts it in. Daniel Marshall with a huge three-pointer. And it's back to with 2:04 remaining, it's back to a 9-point lead.
That pass was on time and on target. Such a huge thing in shooting.
And Jackson comes right back. A huge bucket.
Daniel Marshall only took 42 three-point attempts during the regular season. He shot 31% from the floor, but what a huge one he just hit.
Look at the numbers from three-point range. Kings have missed 17 of 20, but Jackson with a very big one right there. Malone puts it in again. Karl Malone once again. 3 big buckets here in the fourth quarter.
Remember how ugly his jump shot was to start the game?
And Weber loses it down the other end. And Utah sensing perhaps the victory here.
When he's feeling it, he goes up immediately. Look at the rotation. Almost perfect as it hits the basket.
8-point Utah lead. Stockton with 12 assists, no turnovers. Wisely taking time off the clock. Malone tries to draw a foul. Pollard played him well. And here comes Bobby Jackson the other way. Shuffle pass to Pollard. How did he put that in?
The fact that he caught the ball and got it up on the backboard the way he did. A tremendous athletic play that time by Pollard.
Again, Utah will try and use as much off the 24. Under a minute to play. That time a bad pass from Stockton and a loose ball foul. He gave Ostertag a pass in traffic, and the Jazz turn it over. Ostertag is now fouled out of the game, and they're in the penalty, so free throws coming up.
If you watch, John Stockton goes down the lane a little bit too soon. See, there's nowhere to go there with the big bodies. He tries to dish it off to Ostertag. You got a big man, 7'2". You pass it down low. It's hard for him to catch. He actually went a little too soon. He got in the lane with about 8 or 9 seconds remaining on the 24-second clock. With this little bit of time left, Jeff, you just got to run the clock down, then get one up with 1 or 2 seconds remaining. Use up that time.
I agree. And Marshall, if you noticed in that replay, was right next to Ostertag. Poor spacing. He should have been spaced to the corner to give Stockton another outlet, another place to throw the ball.
Stojakovic hits the free throw. So 2 players have fouled out for Utah in Russell and Ostertag. D-Box is out for the Kings. Weber's still playing with 5. He's played with 5 for most of this period.
See, the reason it was such a critical turnover, not only did they not get a shot at the basket, Utah, it stops the clock, and now here goes Stojakovic down the other end to put 2 points on the board, so they used up no time in getting basically a basket back.
This one far from over. Jackson battling Stockton every step of the way. 4-point game coming up on a half-minute remaining, and there's the reach-in foul from Bobby Jackson. And Stockton will shoot free throws. John Stockton from the line, just 1 for 1, but he's an excellent free throw shooter.
If you're going to take a foul, you should take it at 23 seconds on the shot clock, not 15. And if you're not going to foul, do not commit such an unnecessary foul 35 feet away from the basket. I don't understand that by Bobby Jackson.
What do you think that was? An intentional one that time, or do you think he did? I thought it was like almost a fatigue foul. He had worked so hard pressuring Stockton that when Stockton got out in front, they kind of reached in for the steal, for the deflection, instead foul.
Either way, it's bad for Sacramento. And Stockton knocks down both. And a timeout will be called by the Kings. Kings now with just 1 22nd timeout remaining. More importantly for them, Sacramento down 6 with 33.9 remaining here in Game 2.
Now is the best time to join America Online.
If I knew it was this easy, I would have started a long time ago.
Call today and new members get our best offer ever and features you'll only find on AOL. No credit card needed to get started.
You've got mail.
Email makes staying in touch effortless.
I instant message everybody. It's the fastest way to communicate.
Parental controls help keep kids safe.
Call 1-877-265-0200 now. And new members get 1,000 hours free for 45 days. America Online. So easy to use, no wonder it's #1.
I told him to be realistic.
I told him to apply himself.
Man, I told him you're working too hard. I told him to take economics. You know, something practical.
I told him to get his head out of the clouds.
That's what I told him.
Did he listen to me? No.
In one ear and out the other.
Who you gonna listen to? How about yourself? Obey your thirst. Sprite.
He had a real knack for science. He could have been an oceanographer.
Come on! Come on!
Utah by 6. Sacramento has the ball. They have just one 20-second timeout remaining, but they trail by 6. And reminder coming up next, the Emmy Award-winning Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. Ernie Johnson, along with Kenny Smith, Pete Messing, and Magic Johnson. They'll recap Game 2 of the Magic versus the Hornets, the Orlando overtime win, plus post-game reaction from our game. And Cheryl Miller on the court with the Pistons' Ben Wallace. All right, Sacramento down by 6. Do they have to go for the threes right away?
I would say that you take a shot at the 3 right away, see if you have that open look. If not, you have to understand there's not a lot of time to waste here. If there's no 3, put it on the floor, try and get a score and stop the clock at the same time. And then obviously the defense has to be set up. Who are you going to foul once the ball gets in, if it gets in?
Absolutely. You've got to go quickly, though.
They are 3 for 20 from three-point range in this game. Christie, Jackson, Weber, Stojakovic, and Turkoglu on the floor. Christie gets a quick 2, and he's fouled. Good aggressive move from Christie. He'll shoot 2 with 30.5 remaining.
That was very similar to the late game play Utah ran the last game when Padgett had his 3-point shot blocked. Christie came off of Weber, handoff. If they went behind it, he could have shot the 3. Padgett chased him over. He drove it to the basket. Almost had the conventional 3.
Christie knocks down the first. 5-point Utah lead.
Well, Utah has plenty of timeouts to use up right now, but the 2 worst free throw shooters, Marshall's a 70% free throw shooter, Padgett's a 73% free throw shooter.
Jackson, good ball denial, and they don't get it to Stockton. And that's the key to that play. Bobby Jackson, excellent job of keeping it out of Stockton's hands, so Padgett will go to the free throw line. 4 fouls on Christie.
Coach, if you couldn't get it into Stockton right there, would you take the timeout so that you maybe get it to your best free throw shooters instead of putting it in Padgett's hand?
But you know that you have the timeouts to use. They had 2 fulls and a 20 to go. So in that situation right there, you also might want to take it to put another good free throw shooter or 2 on the floor. Get Marshall off the floor, get Padgett off the floor. You have somebody who's a better free throw shooter than the bench. Get them out on the floor, so if they're going to foul somebody, odds are in your favor. You got a good free throw shooter.
Padgett 73% during the regular season. Made the bad play at the end of game 1. Where the offensive interference has a chance for 2 big free throws here. Another miss from the line for the Jazz. They've missed 15, 21 of 36. 29.5 seconds remaining. And Padgett knocks down the second one. 5-point lead for Utah.
Sacramento only has that 20. They've got to score and quickly get to the defense and take the foul if they're going to.
Jackson just hoisted it up. And air ball. It's going to be Utah ball. Jackson wanted to get a foul, but Stockton now gets it. And he's going to make sure he goes to the line this time with 18.4 remaining, and Sacramento may have run out of time.
They only had a 20-second timeout remaining, but you can advance the ball with that 20-second timeout now this year. The rules have changed, so in a 5-point game, if you advance it up to the 28-foot marker, set up a play, you need a 3 and a 2 or a 2 and a 3. Still, maybe you get a better shot than you did in that situation.
Absolutely. I think Coach Adam was probably trying to save it to a last possession. And this is what happens when you get behind. You have your offensive point guard on the bench in Bibby. You come back with your defensive point guard in Jackson. Probably didn't get the best possible shot. I think Rick Adelman would rather have seen him take it to the basket.
There you see 40-year-old John Stockton in the numbers. 13 points, 12 assists, just 1 turnover. And the Utah Jazz on the verge of evening this series. Turkoglu has to hoist it up. Won't go. Stockton tips it. Weber gets it. Weber can't put it in. Second effort won't go. Padgett the rebound, and that'll do it. The Utah Jazz with a huge road win here in Sacramento to tie the series at 1 apiece. Just a terrific performance from the Jazz. Came so close in game 1. They're very close to being up 2-0 in this series. But they got exactly what they wanted here in Game 2.
I don't know the last time I've seen a Utah team show that much emotion where they ran and hugged each other. They were really excited to win this game tonight, knowing that they've given themselves a chance now going back home for Games 3 and 4.
Just another game for John Stockton, who's with Craig Sager.
Well, John, Mike Fratello was mentioning how excited you guys were at the end of this game. It snaps an 11-game road losing streak in the playoffs the last couple of years. How big was this?
Well, we're not worried about the road part of it. We just haven't beaten these guys, and we knew if we're going to win the series, we have to win one some point in time, so that's a good win for us.
During the regular season, you lost all 4 games by 23 points. You only played in the 20-minute range. Tonight, you played 38 and you win. Is it that simple?
No. There's a reason why we were out of the game early in the other one. So, no, we're playing a little bit better. We're working hard. We're not giving in when they make their runs. They're a very good team, and that gives us a chance anyway.
On the blackboard in the locker room, the key to the game tonight, according to your coach, was to dive for loose balls all the time, be the first ones there. You did that in Game 1, did it again in Game 2. At your age, do you feel any slowdown?
No, but I'm trying not to think about it, because I think if you think about it, then you will feel it. So that part of it's inevitable.
When you saw Vlade Divac after Game 1 say you guys had a chance to win, you missed it, that was your best shot, you're done, what was your reaction?
Well, I don't pay much attention to that. A lot of guys do things off the court, in the press, whatever. I just try to come out here and play and not worry about what's said, and that's what I did with that. The game's played out here.
Magic Johnson is in our studio. This was like deja vu for him. You remember Showtime in the 80s? They'd have all those high-scoring games, then come in the playoffs, you'd grind it out. Bring back memories for you as well?
The sad memories, yeah. I'm glad he's sitting in the booth.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Back to you, Mike.
All right, Craig, they obviously have a few more shots left in them as they tie the series at 1 game apiece. The number 8 seed wins on the road, and the top-seeded Sacramento Kings, with the best record in the NBA, goes to Utah with the series tied at 1 apiece. Once again, our final score, the Jazz 93 and the Kings 86. The NBA playoffs continue tomorrow night on TNT with Game 2 of the Raptors at the Pistons, followed by Game 2 of the Timberwolves and the Mavericks. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern. So for Mike Fratello, Jeff Van Gundy, Craig Sager, producer Albert Bertino, and director Renardo Lowe, and our entire crew, this is Mike Breen saying good night from Sacramento. After this break, we'll send you to Atlanta studios for Inside the NBA.